phones rang, tickets sold, and boom, it was sold out on Wednesday night just like that.
Phones rang, tickets sold out in minutes, and before tournament staff could even process the data, Wednesday night was entirely spoken for. 2,800, that is the exact seating capacity inside the Grandstand Court at Sobeys Stadium in Toronto. Under every standard scheduling protocol on the WTA Tour, Alexandra Eala's second-round match at the 2026 National Bank Open belonged right there. After all, 2,800 is a substantial room for an early-round fixture. Yet, as the night approached, it became abundantly clear that it was entirely the wrong room. When Alex Eala's name appeared on the official order of play, tournament organizers took one look at their ticketing dashboard and realized something their standard scheduling algorithms had never anticipated. The 21-year-old rising star, fresh off entering the top 20 in the world rankings, had managed to move over 5,000 tickets on her draw alone. With the main stadium capacity sitting at 10,077, her estimated ticket demand was nearly double what the Grandstand Court could physically accommodate. Facing an unprecedented surge, the WTA 1000 event in Toronto did something almost unheard of for a player ranked outside the top 5. It relocated her match to center court, a stage built for 10,000 cheering fans. To understand how a young Filipino player from Manila forced one of North America's premier tournaments to completely rewrite its master schedule in a matter of days, one must look at both the timing and the sheer velocity of her rise. The National Bank Open, historically known to many as the Canadian Open, remains one of the most prestigious stops on the WTA calendar. In August 2026, the women's field converged on Toronto while the men competed in Montreal. Eala arrived in the city sitting at a career-high world ranking of 20 in the official standings, marking her as the first player representing the Philippines ever to break into the global top 20. Her arrival came just 5 days after securing her maiden WTA singles crown at the DC Open in Washington, where she delivered a thrilling comeback victory over world number 3 Jessica Pegula. On her path to that breakthrough title, she had dispatched elite opposition, outlasting Iga Swiatek in a grueling first-set tiebreak and defeating Alina Svitolina in the semifinals. She entered Toronto not merely as a promising prospect, but as one of the most form-driven players on the circuit, carrying over $1.5 million in career earnings and a wave of international momentum. The dramatic scheduling shift in Toronto was not a critique of event operations, but rather an unveiling of the tour's built-in structural blind spots. Carl Hale, the longtime tournament director of the National Bank Open, operates using the same standard metrics as every major event on the calendar. Court assignments traditionally follow a strict ranking-based formula. Top 10 players are naturally placed on center court during prime broadcasting slots, while established marquee names occupy show courts. Players ranked in the 20s are routinely assigned to secondary venues like the Grandstand, which offers excellent sightlines and full broadcast capabilities. That traditional model is built for operational efficiency, balancing crowd distribution, security, and broadcast commitments across dense tournament days. However, what no scheduling algorithm or tour data model currently accounts for is diaspora density. The system simply has no variable to quantify the passionate support of the Filipino-Canadian community living across the Greater Toronto area, nor can it predict how quickly thousands of fans will refresh ticketing platforms the instant a match schedule goes public. When local news outlets reported that tickets for Eala's session sold out within 30 minutes of being released, it signaled something far deeper than casual sports attendance. A 30-minute sellout reflects an organized, highly attentive audience that had payment details loaded, understood the draw mechanics, and had marked their calendars in advance. The ticket demand exceeded the grandstand's total capacity by roughly 80%, turning a simple scheduling task into a mandatory venue reassignment. Tournament director Carl Hale openly noted that directors across the global tennis circuit were discussing the phenomenon with genuine astonishment. From Cincinnati and Beijing to the upcoming U.S. Open in New York, event organizers were suddenly forced to recalculate their show court projections. The widespread phenomenon, quickly recognized across the sport as the Eala Effect, demonstrated that fan engagement was no longer strictly tied to world seedings, but to a global fanbase capable of shifting venue logistics in real time. The geographic context of Toronto plays a pivotal role in this narrative. Official census data reveals that Canada is home to nearly 1 million Filipino Canadians, with over 270,000 residing within the Greater Toronto Area alone. Projections indicate that this demographic will continue to expand significantly over the coming decades. For Eala, playing in Toronto is virtually equivalent to competing before a passionate home crowd. The Grandstand Court was never going to be large enough to contain the collective energy of a community eager to see a historic national icon compete at the highest level. Former American star Andy Roddick captured the industry's reaction when commenting on the widespread enthusiasm, acknowledging that when national watch parties fill arenas back home and international venues sell out in minutes, the sport is witnessing a rare cultural moment. The excitement is not driven by brief promotional hype, but by authentic representation paired with high-level athletic performance. What makes this commercial and cultural surge even more compelling is that it is anchored entirely by rapid on-court progression. Just 7 months prior at the Australian Open in January, Eala experienced a tough first-round exit against Alicia Parks, taking the opening set 6-love before losing control of the match. Rather than allowing that setback to define her season, she quietly returned to work, refining her game and elevating her physical intensity on every surface. Over the subsequent 7 months, she built an impressive resume featuring a quarterfinal run on grass in Bad Homburg, a high-profile victory at Wimbledon, her first WTA title in Washington, and a dramatic rise up the rankings. In a twist of poetic symmetry, her center court match in Toronto brought her face-to-face with Alicia Parks once again. This time, under the bright lights of a 10,000-seat arena filled with chanting supporters, Eala reversed the previous result, closing out a decisive victory to advance to the next round. The journey from a 2,800-seat venue to a 10,000-seat showcase is symbolic of a broader transformation within women's tennis. As the WTA actively seeks to expand its global reach and cultivate new superstar narratives, Eala represents an unprecedented bridge to a massive, highly engaged market both in Asia and across the global diaspora. As the hardcourt swing moves forward toward Cincinnati and Flushing Meadows, where she will compete as a seeded player for the first time in her career, every tournament schedule will be crafted with her potential audience impact in mind. The energetic chants of Laban echoing through Canadian stands serve as a clear indicator that the court she walks onto from now on will reflect her true reach. The scale of her audience has permanently expanded, and the sport of tennis is eagerly adapting to the new reality she brings to the tour. Phones rang, tickets sold out, and within minutes Wednesday night was completely booked. The Grandstand Court at Sobeys Stadium in Toronto seats 2,800 people. By standard WTA scheduling, Alexandra Eala's second-round match belonged there. But when her name dropped, ticket demand surged past 5,000, forcing organizers to move her to center court, a venue built for over 10,000 fans. At 21, Eala made history as the first Filipino player to reach the top 20, coming straight off her maiden WTA title in Washington. But algorithms don't account for diaspora density. With nearly 300,000 Filipino Canadians in the Greater Toronto Area, demand exceeded grandstand capacity by 80%. Tickets sold out in 30 minutes.